Good morning, guys. So I'm Rakisha Douthitt, as he said, and I teach primarily 6th, 7th, and 8th grade English language arts at Jackson Independent School. Tiny, 350 student K through 12 school in Jackson, Kentucky. Tiny school. But this year I actually had the opportunity to teach a drama class, and it has truly been one of the most rewarding experiences I have ever had. And so I chose to do my ARI project with that drama class. And I'll get into the specifics of that in a bit, and this is a picture of my kids working on the project. The project is called Truly Seeing Ourselves, and I actually brought, I don't know if this will reach, I brought the camera that I used, I meant to bring that over here, for the project. But first, I do want to give you a little bit of history. First, I want to give you a little bit of history. So this is one of the most recent productions done on our school stage before this school year. Very recent production, late 70s, thereabouts. So we used to have a school stage, and we used to have a thriving drama program at Jackson Independent School almost 20 years ago. So the reason that this was so exciting for me to get to teach drama this year is because not in my students' lifetime have we had a drama program at our school. We've not had a drama class, and for even longer than that, we've not had a stage. So there's another, I think that's a concert recital. So this is our stage now. Again, this is just a little bit of history. It's been walled up to be repurposed as a weight room. So it is the age-old battle between arts and athletics. So we had no place to perform when I started teaching, and we were really starting from scratch. Okay, so I picked this picture because I wanted, this is a pretty candid shot of some of the discomfort that my students had with doing two-person scenes. This was a scene in which Jonathan was whispering sweet nothings into his scene partner's ear, and she was so embarrassed and couldn't stop giggling. And so that was how we began this year. My students hadn't performed anywhere. I had 3 students out of 25 who had ever performed in front of any group of people. I had 1 student who had done a kindergarten pageant. These are high schoolers. And I had 2 girls who sang in church and at weddings. So other than that, and other than my English class, because I taught some of them in 8th grade, and I do a lot of performance-based projects, they had never spoken in front of a group. So that's where we started. We started slow. We did a lot of improv games. We did a lot of projection and voice exercises. We worked up to them writing their own scenes, which was really cool. We used some of those scenes for this project. But we've started slow. And we really have been building a drama program. So these are some of my kids working on our plays. We have done 2 full-length productions this year at our school, in the gym because we don't have a stage. But the students are so proud of how we've grown this program so far because it's all been a product of their hard work. So these are 2 of my basketball players coming after practice to paint sets. And just some pictures from some of our productions. So again, these are students who'd never spoken in front of anybody, most of them. And here's a choreographed Whoville dance number. This was Greater Tuna. We performed this more recently, and some of the scenes used for this project were in that play. So just to tell you, we started from scratch, but I wanted to do something. I knew starting this drama class, I wanted to do something to teach these kids about the more nuanced skills that actors need to know. Connecting with your scene partner, developing a character, so not just not turning your back on the audience, but the real picky stuff. And I knew we would get there. We started from scratch, but I knew we would get there, and we have. So my project is a 2-person scene project that allows high school drama students to watch themselves perform with a critical eye. So how many of you have ever heard yourself speak on your voicemail greeting and cringed? I have. Or seen yourself on video, maybe when you did another ARI project in the past and you cringed. So I'm asking self-conscious high school students to watch themselves with their class on camera doing a scene and be honest about how they thought that they did. So this was a tough project. It sounds easy, but it's hard for a lot of adults. But they definitely warmed up to it. So I knew I would need a camera. The Sony Handycam is a great camera. It's portable, so I could record whole rehearsals of our productions in the gym. That's been helpful. But it's also small, and I can use it in the classroom. Basic tripod and free iMovie film editing software. So my students edited all of this. Stanley Kubrick they may not be, but it is an acting project rather than a filmmaking project. And the students actually did all the footage too. So the first step was to pair up students and pick scenes that would challenge them and that would force them to show a range of emotion and force them to really develop a character. So the picking the scenes was tricky, but I started out assigning them partners and assigning them scenes. And this is the next step in the process where I would record each pair's first scene read and every subsequent read. It was important to me to get the first time they even saw the script. So the first time they read the script, sitting down in 2 chairs, I recorded them. The next time when they were a little bit more comfortable, I mean, it was a slow, long process, but I wanted them to be able to see their improvement throughout. It is one thing to hear me tell you that you're not loud enough. It's another thing to watch a recording on a high-quality camera that didn't even pick up your voice. So it's one thing to hear direction from me. It's another thing to critique themselves. And between each recording, I'm fortunate enough to have a Mondo pad in my room. Between each recording, I would have the students cringe as they watched themselves on video. And this was a process that they became much more comfortable with as we went on. At first, they would ask, can I leave the room? I know you guys have to watch my scene, but can I just stand outside in the hallway, please? Of course, they could not because they had to critique themselves. That was part of the project. They would cover their faces. There would be tears in their eyes. I mean, it's easy to talk about doing this with students, but think of yourself in high school. Is there a more self-conscious part of your life? Okay, so the most important part of this to me was that immediately after these recordings were watched, I would interview students individually and ask them to reflect on their own performances honestly. And I actually had some students in tears after they watched their own performance because they were so nervous. This is the first time for some of these kids, right? So it was amazing what came out in these interviews. Of course, I started with answers like, well, how did you feel watching yourself on camera? Awkward. So that's where we started. And we ended up with these really long, detailed descriptions of what they could do better. Or I started with a lot of kids who thought they were just terrible at everything they do. And by the end, those students were able to say, you know, I thought my accent was really terrible, but I really sounded good that time. Or, you know, I'm standing up straighter and it makes me look different. It makes me look more like my character. Or that was not as bad as I thought it would be. So you have students who started out with these confidence issues who can acknowledge their progress. And you also have students who maybe need to be taken down a peg or two, who started out thinking they were Meryl Streep. And by the end, you know, in the beginning, they're like, I think it was fine. I don't think I did anything wrong. And then by the end, it was, you know, I see what you mean. I see what you mean when you say that I talk at people instead of to them, or I make the scene all about me and don't make eye contact with my partner. So to be able to, it was humbling for some students, and I think it gave students so much more confidence, some of them. So this project meant a lot to me. I think these skills extend far beyond a drama class. I know that because one of the students came to me, the one that was whispering the sweet nothings earlier, and said, this is one of the students that would not speak in front of people at first, and he said, you know what, I volunteered to do the opening statement in my debate in history class. I'm going to memorize it. Nobody else memorized their stuff. So he said, what if, I don't want anybody else in the room, but you think maybe we could record that and like, you could just sit and just like watch it with me? And that to me, that was a moment to me that I knew that they see the value of this beyond drama class. I think the ability to watch your own work and be honest about your strengths and your weaknesses is something we can all take with us throughout life. So in addition to helping these kids see that they can act and they can perform in front of people, I think they've learned a lot more from this. This is something I'm going to do with every drama class from here on out. There's already demand for drama 1, drama 2, maybe even drama 3 down the road, who knows. But the 8th graders and middle schools are really excited about it. Productions have gotten everybody excited about it. So we have another one May 11th and 12th at our school. We'll make 3 plays this year. So I'm really, really proud of these kids.